Hey guys, we're here in my house in Windhelm to talk about a little topic. When I first started in survival mode, I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I've seen plenty of videos giving little tips about survival mode, but I just wanted to share with you some of my tips that I've learned from many hours of survival mode, and hopefully I can offer some tips that you guys haven't heard before. Sorry there's no fancy editing in this video, but yeah, maybe someday I'll remake it. Okay, let's get started. So, tip number one is going to be the most obvious tip, but try and acquire as many homes as you possibly can. Creation Club homes, base game homes, Hearthfire homes, all the homes are super good to have. It's great to have cooking stations everywhere you go. It's great to have free beds everywhere you go. It's great to have storage everywhere you go. And that's a really interesting thing, is that you need homes a lot more in survival mode than you do uh, in the base game. They're kind of useless in the base game or in the vanilla game, but in survival mode, homes are very impactful and useful. Even ones out in the middle of nowhere can be like a home away from home and can open up new sections of the map for you, making them far easier to explore. Okay, tip number two. Before you go out on a big journey, especially if you're in one of the colder regions in Skyrim, you might want to go look at the weather outside and think about what time of day it is. Because it does get colder at night, and it also gets colder during a snowstorm. And yes, it is that realistic. I know it may seem obvious to some people, but when I first played the game, I didn't really think about it. Oh, is it day? Is it night? Is it going to be colder or warmer? I didn't really think about it, but after time, I've realized that it definitely does have a huge impact. A warm, sunny day will be far less cold than a snowy night. Okay. Another tip I have is that if you're running around those cold regions in the middle of the night during a snowstorm, you can actually do that just fine, as long as you're willing to stop by each dungeon along the way, or a couple dungeons, or maybe the third dungeon, uh, just to warm up. Pretty much every dungeon that you go in is going to have a warmer temperature than the outside. Maybe a few will still be pretty cold, but most of them will be pretty warm. Especially those tombs that are everywhere. Those will be very warm. There might be some Draugr in there, but if you just stand around the entrance, usually there's nothing to kill you, so just walk right in the entrance, wait around, and then once you get to your destination, you won't have a sliver of health, you'll have full health. Okay. Uh, the tip number four is that people say Argonians are a bad race for survival mode. That's actually not true. Argonians are a pretty good race for survival mode. And that's because of a hidden stat that nobody really is talking about. Um, it's true that they can eat raw meat. Everybody's mentioned that. But the Khajiit can do that as well. But in addition to being able to do that, they also have disease resistance. Now, that is actually something that's important for survival mode, because diseases are far more prevalent and infect you far more often. Diseases can be a huge pain in the butt in survival mode, and being infected by them rarely, more rarely, is actually really, really nice in survival mode, and it might even be worth the cold penalty. I would even say that's the main survival mode feature of the Argonians. Being able to eat raw meat is just a nice little bonus. Um, okay, another tip is that you should probably try and upgrade the Hearthfire homes. The reason being is that you can get a steward, hire a carriage driver, and that carriage driver will take you to more fast travel locations than you could go to at the regular ones that are in the cities. The special ones that you hire will take you to any city in the entire game, or even just a small town. If you are tired of running all the way to Rorikstead just to get to your farm, well, maybe go run out to your Hearthfire home instead, and you can just teleport or take your carriage over to Rorikstead, or you could take it to Iverstead where the Greybeards are. You could take it to any of these small little villages around the map, and it really unlocks a lot of different fast travel areas and gives you a good reason to come out there, because it's kind of a nice little home base you can go to, drop off your stuff. You have the rooms that you want. You have the house set up the way you want. And yeah, and then you can fast travel into way more areas than you could normally with just a regular town. Okay, so tip number 6. If you guys have ever been out to Dawnstar and then been like, dang, now I have to walk all the way back from Dawnstar, all the way to Solitude, just so I can take a carriage to Whiterun where I need to go do a quest. You don't need to do that. There is a boat in Dawnstar that allows you to fast travel to either Solitude or to Winterhold, or not Winterhold, Windhelm. Yeah, the town we're in right now, Windhelm. There's a boat network in this game between Windhelm, Solitude, and Dawnstar. There's not a whole lot of reason to use it if you're in Solitude or Windhelm, but in Dawnstar it's super convenient because you can actually have access to that town now without having to feel like, oh, okay, if I take a carriage here, I'm going to have to walk all the way back. It's more of a commitment. But in survival mode, there's actually a reason to have the boats. Okay, and the last tip I have for you guys is there's a special spell that is not very useful in base game that is actually quite useful in this mode. And I'm going to tell you what that spell is in just a second. It is called Clairvoyance. Right now we don't have a quest set, but let's assume that we did. Quests. Let's just go ahead and put this one on. This thing will tell us exactly how to get there. Now, it can be pretty glitchy and can take you to the wrong place. And a lot of people prefer to just solve the dungeon through exploring, and following a line takes the fun out of it for them. But when you're exploring the overworld, and you need to walk from one city to a dungeon, sometimes the landscape can be confusing. And sometimes you're getting hungry, you're getting tired, you're getting cold, and you just don't have time to walk or decide if you need to go all the way around the mountain range or if you go to the left of the mountain range. And then if you use this, you might figure out that, yeah, if you just turn one way, it'll be a super shorter journey than if you try and go all the way around the other way. And the map is not always super clear on that, especially not the overworld map, because I'll remind you that it looks kind of like this. Not the worst map I've ever seen, but, it's not super detailed here, so it's a representation of what's going on. I mean, I think it is actually showing you the game world, but, yeah, I've found, especially around this area, I always get confused. Sometimes when I'm trying to go around this area, I'm trying to get down in these canyons, I'm trying to go down this way, and just looking at an aerial view from a helicopter doesn't really tell me how the paths work or how to get down the hill or go around this area. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope some of these tips helped you guys. I hope these were unique tips that you guys haven't heard. If this helps even one person in survival mode, saves them time, then I've done my job. Thank you guys. Have an awesome day.